Okay, so remember that in Spanish, there are two ways to talk about the past. In English, we really only have one, so sometimes this can be super complicated for us. But of course, to native speakers, it makes complete sense. The first way that we have to talk about the past is the preterite tense, which we've already done. So now we're going to use the imperfect tense. And the imperfect tense we use when something used to happen a lot, when it's a habitual action, when it's something that was happening in the background. We'll talk about all of the reasons to use the imperfect tense on the next lesson, but right now we're just going to talk about the forms. So there are two different forms. There's the form for ER and IR verbs and the form for AR verbs. Luckily, the ER and IR verbs are the exact same. You don't have to remember any difference, which is good. And of course, there is a song to remember these. We're going to go ahead and do the forms and then we'll do the song. So for ER verbs, it's going to be ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ion. All of these have accents. That's super important. You have to always remember to put the accents on ER and IR verbs in the imperfect. For AR verbs, yo aba, tú abas, él, ella, usted aba, nosotros habamos, y ellos, ustedes haban. The nosotros has an accent that is super, super important. So, for example, if we were going to do the verb correr, which remember means to run, we would have corría, corrías, corría, corríamos, and corrían. If we were going to do the verb hablar, yo hablaba, tú hablabas, él, ella, usted hablaba, nosotros hablábamos with an accent, and ellos, ustedes hablaban. Okay, so the song that we can use to remember the imperfect tense is Old MacDonald, and it goes something like this. Old MacDonald's imperfect forms ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ian, and in these forms we have some ARs. Aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aban, like sheep, get it? Because they're on a farm. So tomorrow you all are going to practice that song, so remember it so we can sing it together. Okay, so remember how in the preterite tense there are like 50 million irregular verbs? Luckily for us, in the imperfect tense there are only 3 irregular verbs. These are the only 3 that you need to remember. Every other verb is always going to be these exact forms. Only these 3 verbs are going to be different. So the first one is ir. We have yo iba, tú ibas, él, ella, usted iba, nosotros íbamos, con acento, y ellos, ustedes iban. For ser, yo era, tú eras, él, ella, usted era, nosotros éramos, y ellas, ustedes eran. For ver, it's just a little bit irregular. It's going to be veía, veías, veía, veíamos, veían. So it still has the same endings as the ER and IR verbs, it's just that we have this E in there that normally we would take out. So these are the only 3 irregular verbs that you have to remember, which is lucky. Okay, for a little bit of practice, it was 10 at night. Time is always in the imperfect tense, and remember to say what time it is. If I want to say what time it is, I would say que hora es. So the verb that we use is ser. So we need ser in the imperfect. Remember that ser is irregular. So eran las 10 de la noche. Eran has to be plural because 10 is plural. So it was 10 o'clock at night. My sister and I were watching a movie. Mi hermana y yo. And then this were watching is setting up a background information. That's the imperfect. So remember to watch is ver. Ver is irregular. So mi hermana y yo veíamos una película. We were alone in the house. To be, it's going to be the temporary form to be, which is estar. So estar in the imperfect for nosotros is going to be estábamos. And remember, the nosotros of AR verbs always has to have an accent. Estábamos solas en la casa. And it was raining. This is background information. Remember, to rain is llover, which is an ER IR verb. So it's just going to be llovía. It was raining. All right. Thank you.